Alright, welcome to video number 3. Today, I'm glad we didn't do the toolbar working last time, because as you can see, I kind of broke it down into pieces, and even within those pieces, there's many more pieces. So, what we need to do is loop the simulation. Right now, it just runs through this entire thing one time, right? So, it's just running through. I'm not on the right class here. It's just running through this one time and we're done, right? And we want it to loop, okay? And we can't do that with a regular for loop or a while loop or anything like that, okay? Then we're going to work on drawing the toolbar. Then we need a location class just so that we can pass in locations around the project, okay? So I can pass a row on column to methods, and methods can pass rows and columns back to me in this location class. I need to make sure that the cave accepts or can tell me if a location is valid or not. I need to handle the clicks of the actual mouse, and then I need to worry about placing the tile. It's going to be a pretty long video, I think, just in itself. Okay, so let's get started as fast as we can. So right now, let's loop it first. That is correct. Okay. I forgot where I was going, but as we look here, looping the sim is first, so let's get that loop going. And like I said, we cannot just loop with a regular while loop. So what we're going to use is an animation timer, okay? So an animation timer is right there. You can see it's part of JavaFX. It's kind of built in, and it will help loop our program. So an animation timer is going to just key in and update things as fast as it can. I'm not sure what the default is. I'm guessing it's like every 60 frames per second or something like that, but it'll work for us just by default. So we have an error. Let's just go ahead and Alt Enter or Option Enter for Macs and implement those methods. And then click, and let's just .start it after creating it. Okay, so whatever I put in here in the animation timer will continually loop over and over and over and over again. And what we want to loop, at least for now, is just our draw code, because the drawing is going to update. So we're going to loop our draw code, cave, and then the player image drawing on top of the cave. As you can see here, we have an error on GC. It says variable GC is accessed from within inner class, needs to be declared final. So let's just go up here and declare our graphics context to be final, and that fixes our error. Another thing we want to do when it comes to anything with graphics and stuff is just clear the screen every new frame. So let's clear the screen. And to do that, I am going to create a color. And I'm going to choose Cadet Blue. And then I'm just going to fill a rectangle from 0, 0, 800 pixels, 600 pixels, which is the entire screen. Okay? So I fill a rectangle, draw the cave, draw the player. Fill the rectangle, draw the cave, draw the player. So basically this is our clear screen. So we don't see any old graphics ever. This will just continually clear the screen and then draw the updated cave and the updated player position. So if we run this, let me pull it down, we get that. So we get a nice blue color around our cave, and so we kind of understand that's the background, that's it being cleared. This is being drawn over and over and over again. Even though we can't tell it is, it is. Okay? So that's the first thing. So this is kind of like a while loop, and it just continually runs while the program's open. Alright? So we got our sim looping. So next we got to draw our toolbar. Now our toolbar is going to be drawn from within our main class, not within our cave class. Alright? The cave class handles all cave logic and stuff like that. And the toolbar is not part of cave logic. All right, it's completely separate from the cave. So the problem is the main method, the main class, needs these images from cave. And if we look at the cave class, The cave class is the one that has these images, okay? But main is going to need them. So what we're going to do then is just make some accessors so that we can get at least some of these images. All right, so, oh, I also commented my last two braces. I don't think I did that while recording, but I just clicked here, and this is my end draw, okay? And then this is my end class. So I labeled those just because of the end, it gets confusing. So, oh, I don't want to do that. Okay, so next we are going to add some getters. And what do we need? We need just the real tiles that you place. So you can place ground, gold, pits, spiders, and wumpuses. You cannot yourself place glitter, because that's what gold automatically glitters. Stink comes from the wumpus, webs come from the spiders, and wind comes from the caves or pits. So we need ground, gold, pit, spider, and wumpus, and we just need those to be some get images, some get methods. Okay, so now let's go to main and let's start a method called draw toolbar, and it's going to need the graphics context to draw. And I'm just going to go ahead and draw. So I'm going to set the fill to color.black just so I can put the words toolbar. So I'm going to fill text, toolbar, and then where do I put it? So let me look at my notes. I figured out these numbers already that work. So it will be X value of 650 and a Y value of 60. And then I'll just draw my first two toolbar images, and we'll go from there. So let's draw image. Cave.get, what did I start with? Let's start with the pit image, and that's going to be at the same X value and 80. And let's go ahead and draw image cave.get spider image, and that'll be at 650, 130. So take a look at these. They're all going to be aligned in the X direction, right? Because we want them lined up. And they all go further down in the Y direction. And it just so happens, obviously, that 80 and 130 are 50 pixels away because 50 is how tall the tiles are. So this isn't going to run yet. Let's go ahead and put it right here. Draw toolbar GC. And let's go ahead and run from there and see if we have a toolbar. And we do. Toolbar right there. Obviously it doesn't work yet. The clicks don't work yet. None of that works yet. We're just getting the toolbar to be drawn first. Okay, so let's complete this. Next, I did the wumpus at 650 and 180. Next, I did the gold at 650, 230. Next, I did the ground at 650, 280. And finally, we'll draw our player image again at 650, 330. Just so when I click on the player, it will show the fog of the cave. Of course, we need to program that in. And you'll have a toolbar like this ready to go. Okay? So now I think if you haven't finished that, is a great time to pause and make sure you can get that draw code down and that your toolbar looks, you know, aligned like mine and nice and aligned and in that order. If you don't go in that order, some of the logic is going to be slightly different. So we've looped our sim, we've drawn our toolbar, and next we need a location class so that I can talk about when I click on things, like what location I clicked in. Okay, so let's go ahead. We're at 10 minutes already. Okay, so I know I'm going kind of fast, but luckily it's a video, so you can pause anytime you want. So let's go ahead and make a new class, And I'm going to call that class location. And that gives me a new location class. Notice that all my classes are in the same package right next to each other. That way they can see each other and I don't have to do any imports. And this is going to be a real easy class. Let's do private int row, private int column. I'm just going to hit option N or command N, sorry, or alt enter or alt insert for Windows. And we'll add a constructor with both row and column. And a getter and setter for row and column. And I'm going to do a toString just in case I need to debug or see those locations at any point. Okay, so that's a real quick location class. And now we need to worry about, now that we have these locations row and columns, I want to be able to ask the cave class if I ask it for if I give it a given location, is that location actually valid? Okay, so if I give it location 88, it should say true. But if I give it location 830, it should say false. That's not a valid location within the cave. Okay, so it should be a pretty easy method to write because it deals just with the constraints of our 2D array. So let's go ahead and write it. Public Boolean is valid, and we pass a location in. And we'll call it loc. And we are going to return 4 possible constraints, right? Loc.getRow must be greater than or equal to 0. And loc.getRow must be less than the size of the number of rows, which is tiles.length. And loc.getColumn must be greater than or equal to 0. And loc.getColumn must be less than the number of columns. Right? That should all look pretty familiar to you. And this will correctly return if a given location is within the cave, between 0 and 9, essentially, because the cave is a 10-element 2D 10 elements in each direction, right? So 10 rows, 10 columns, 0 to 9 in both directions. So this will return that. And we have a location class, and we've handled valid locations. Next is handling clicks, and it gets a little bit difficult here just because we've never done this before. So how do I handle clicks? And to handle clicks, Java uses something that it calls like listeners. Okay, so what you do is you attach a listener to things, and that's the same way you would do it in a lot of Java applications. So we are going to attach a listener, and in this case, the listener goes onto our scene. Okay, so we're going to go to type our scene. I'm before my animation timer here. In our main class, scene dot set on mouse clicked, which is a listener. All right, new event handler mouse event. Okay, now I'm going to stop right here for a second because that's what I did. You should get this autocomplete option because a lot's going to happen when I click autocomplete right now. It's going to write a method and complete this inner class. So I'm going to hit enter, and there we go. So this is the result, and what this does is it's going to listen for mouse clicks that happen on our scene, which is our window. And so any time a mouse event happens, this will trigger, and we can see, is it a click? Did the mouse move in? Did the mouse move out? We can see all kinds of things, or rather, we can use all kinds of different listeners. Right here, we're looking for mouse clicks, but we could do mouse moves to see if it hovers over something. But we're just looking for mouse clicks. Okay. So this will handle mouse clicks, and when this will only fire when the mouse button's pressed. Okay. So I'm going to create a couple variables up here that are going to be useful for what it is we want to do. First, I definitely want to know when they click. I want to kind of like stamp where they clicked. Okay. So let's create a couple of variables here called private int mouse x mouse y. That is where they clicked. Okay. And then especially right now, I'm worried about handling them clicking on the toolbar. So when they click, I need to like kind of store the current tile they clicked on. So I'm going to make a private int currently selected tile equals -1. Okay, where -1 means no tile selected. All right, so when the simulation starts, they haven't clicked on anything. There's no tile selected. It's -1. When they click on something on the toolbar, what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign that tile, that currently selected tile, one of these values, and then look at if it's one of those and draw that thing correctly. Okay, so these are just some helpful things. So with those in mind, I'm going to go back to mouse, and every time it's clicked, I just am going to remember first where it's clicked at. Okay, so let's get this going. First, we are going to do scene. Sorry, I don't know what I don't know what I'm thinking. Okay, mouse x equals event.getX. That gets the x position of the click. Now, that is a double value, so let's just cast that to int after. And mouse y, we're going to cast to int event.getY. So every time they click, I just remember where they clicked because I might want to know that later on. I don't know if I'm actually going to, but this kind of remembers it, so I don't have to keep calling this method over and over again. I just look at these variables. So it's a little faster. So let's handle the clicked on the pit toolbar tile. Okay? And so I want to know if they clicked on the toolbar pit how do I know that, right? So let's go to the toolbar and let's look at the pit. And I think it's probably fairly obvious right now. So the pit image is at 650/80, right? And when we talk about where the pit image is, the 650/80 is the top left corner of the pit image. So we know that the tile is also 50 pixels wide and 50 pixels in height. So that means that if they click between 650 and 700 in the x direction, and they click between 80 and 130 in the y direction, then they have definitely clicked on that pit image in the toolbar. And that's all I'm going to do. Okay, I'm just using where it's at and how large this pit image is, and I'm going to use that to know that when they click, I look at where they clicked. If it's between 650 and 700 and it's between 80 and 130, I know they've clicked on this image because that's where I'm drawing it, and I know the size of it. Okay, so let's program that, right? So if mouse x is greater than or equal to 650 and mouse x is less than or equal to 700, right? And mouse y is greater than or equal to 80 and mouse y is less than or equal to 130. Let me check that real quick. That is good. That means they clicked on the pit. Those are the constraints. And so all I do is set the currently selected tile to cave dot pit, right? And again, it's not cryptic. I don't say selected tile is 1 or 10 or whatever ID it is. I can directly access this because it's a public variable. It never changes because it's static and final. And I just set pit, okay? And that's it. And let's just see if we can get this one thing to work, okay? So what we're going to do then is draw it wherever my mouse goes, okay? So how are we going to do that? are going to do that in the Draw Toolbar section. Alright, so let's go to the Draw Toolbar. We'll handle this in the Draw Toolbar. It's kind of part of the toolbar, okay? And we're going to draw if the currently selected tile is not equal to -1. That means they clicked on something. Now, the only way not to get -1 currently is to click on my pit toolbar, okay? But this will just work in general, okay? So if it's not -1, then we are going to draw an image. What image do we want to draw? Let's just draw cave.getPit. We're kind of cheating right now, but that's fine because we know it's only pit. And then where do we draw it? We draw it at our mouse X, mouse Y position. All right, so I don't know. Let's hope this works. Let's try this. There it is. Okay, so we got this. If I click anywhere else, I can keep clicking, nothing happens. Hopefully if I click on the pit, look at that, it does not follow me. Okay, so I've got to work on it following me, and it's also being drawn behind. Okay, so not good. Not good at all. It's only firing when we are clicking. Okay, so let's go back here and just look at where we're at right now. So we have the sim looping. We are drawing the toolbar. The location class is working. Valid lokes we hope are working, but we really haven't tested yet. And we're starting to handle some clicks, okay? The video's at 22 minutes right now. So I think I'm going to stop there. It's kind of working. And the next video will pick up right here where we left off, where we are kind of got our toolbar working. It's there. I said working. It's not quite working. It's there. Clicking. And you can see something happens when we click, right? We can see that if I click on that toolbar, and every time I click, it kind of follows me right now. Okay, it's not really following me if I don't click, but if I click, it knows I selected it and it's kind of following me. And I got to do some work to get that to follow me a little bit, and also got to program these other ones in. Okay, so we're gonna kind of leave off here, and the next video will be. I don't want this video to be like 50 minutes. Okay, so it's just a good stopping point, and then we'll pick up right here and we'll finish this toolbar in video 4. Okay. So thanks for watching. I hope everything's going perfectly well, and we'll see you in video 4 to complete this toolbar.